Hello. I have a 2 o'clock appointment with Roger and Eric Alvarado.
Sure. What is your name?
Steve Vavona.
Okay, please have a seat.
Sure.
Thank you. I let Roger know. They'll be right with you.
Okay, great.
I'm going to yeah. So don't. Yes. That's the one she put on Google Docs. Yeah, she showed me. It seemed like she put out a lot of work. Yes. Wanted to do it.
Yeah, what they're doing right now is
Yeah. Yeah.
putting
Her spouse called and said
Steve?
Yeah.
Crazy day.
Oh, no problem. Appreciate you making the time for me.
Oh no, it's important. It's important. Here, see. So what information do you have, and where are you with this?
Well, basically, I was just given some specific upgrades that we should talk about for this story, and that's about it. That's.
Have you gotten any? So have you seen any material or anything?
No, I haven't. I just was assigned the story and asked to hit certain points, and here I am. Just gonna set this over here.
I'm just trying to find. I was just hoping, just getting into this, that we'd had a deck. I'm not the same.
Oh yeah, if you have any information, please do.
That's my brother.
Steve Vavona. Nice to meet you, Eric. I'm just recording the interview.
I'm just looking for a quick deck. I must have one of that. Or something.
What are we, for what?
This is classroom.
Yeah, no, but what deck are you looking for?
Actually, the PAC
The
presentation
pack presentation. Okay.
is probably the easiest.
So while you're looking for that, you want to cover some of the historicals?
Sure.
now?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
And then we could, before we go, we just have to remind us to walk down the hall so you can actually see.
Oh, that would be
what-
excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that.
Well, we also walk down the hall, regardless. But anyway.
Yeah.
So basically what happened was, so when the new president arrived, he immediately set forward the four strategies for us, strategic priorities, and one of them being the enhancing teaching and learning environments. From there, Joe Tufano, CIO, worked with
Do you
Bob
mind if I
Mangione.
close this?
Yeah, go for it. Worked with the provost, Bob Mangione, to say, okay, well, in response to the strategic priority number 3, we should assemble a group of faculty members to essentially look at our current classroom technology environment and come together to figure out what should be the next evolution. What technology is missing, what technology works, what doesn't work, and whatnot. So we assembled representation from the various schools. We met several times throughout the fall semester. Fall 2014, going into spring, and then in early spring drafted up a proposal for a new learning space standard. And the goal of the standard was severalfold. One of the major ones is it had to function for the faculty member. I mean, they had to be able to use the technology pretty easily. It had to be something that was reliable, always on for them.
Right.
And it had to be something that's spanned from faculty members that more were traditional teaching. They like to be behind the podium.
Right.
Versus sitting with the students or having students show their content from where they're at. So the current design that was proposed, and we actually started construction for the spring, for the fall 2015 classes, and then wrapped the 24 classrooms up by spring 2015, is we did 24 classrooms in total to that standard. The standard includes a new spacious podium, which serves multiple purposes. One of the complaints were faculty member really had very little space to put there. If they're using a laptop, their materials, it was just very tight for them. So there's a bigger podium. The podium also serves as a better equipment housing for the electronics inside. The smaller podiums were tight, not a lot of airflow. It was more prone for failures. Cable management was a nightmare. Now with a more spacious podium and better airflows, vents, metallic in the sense that it can dissipate heat better. It was both worlds, operationally as well as functionally for the faculty members. When you drill down further, starting from the outside in, you'll also see that there's, right on the surface, there's a 22-inch or 23-inch touch monitor, so that an instructor who wishes to annotate over their content using the Podium PC, they can. They bring up the software to annotate as if they were a smartboard or equivalent.
Right.
To the right of that is a standardized control panel. And the notion is that you can either A, use a remote control, or B, use a push-button control, but we want something that was quite evident on how it was to be used.
Right.
And as soon as you turn on the system, the entire system turns on. It pre-selects the podium. The projector immediately comes on, conference monitor comes on, and it's just ready and working. It's pretty quick. 6 seconds total, in fact. It's to the point where a lot of faculty members have noticed the sheer speed at which the system came up. Where the older environment was, you had to wait for the projector to warm up, and then at that point, once the projector was full board, then you can actually use the system. That was, infringing on their teaching time. So that's what you see on the surface. Now, from the touch panel perspective, the nice thing about that is it's, again, you see very quickly what you can do, whether it's a Podium PC, laptop connection, the AirMedia, Apple TV, document camera, and turning off the system. It's pretty evident how it works. And same thing when you want to switch between or turn off the system. Turns off, make sure you're okay, and then off it goes. 6 seconds, it comes back down. So pretty quick up and down. Going beyond the surface, if you go into the guts of the system, everything's digital. So you only have the best quality running throughout the entire rack to the projection, and it maintains high definition as well as digital connectivity, so that there's no loss in signal quality and whatnot. We have audio, both for wall speakers in large classrooms. There's voice augmentation, so soft-spoken faculty member can put on a lavalier mic and be able to be heard in the back. Right. Yeah. We also have inside the podium, we also have what's called AirMedia and also Apple TV. So the notion is that why should I have to connect a wire to show content? Okay, that's the mindset. There's technology out there that allows you to present off of your iOS device or your laptop without connecting a wire, which means that you could bring your device in with the students or have the students present their content from where they're sitting.
That's great.
Okay, so that's in the standard as well. And then we also have what's called Vadio, and what Vadio is, Vadio AV Bridge. The notion is that in the back of the room there's a pan-tilt zoom camera, and then you also have the microphone that the instructors wear. Well, you could take those two pieces of content and present it to the workstation as a USB signal, which means that you could do lecture capture, Google Hangouts, WebEx, which is the university standard for video conferencing, anything you want using those two. So essentially you interface the AV system back into the PC. So that's another key component. Everything is monitored, so we actually have, every rack has its own dedicated switch. Everything's monitored for when it's on and off. We can be proactive when devices come offline. We don't have to wait for a customer to tell us. We pretty much know when it's offline.
Is that right?
Yeah. And then we're also monitoring, there's also an intelligent power system, so it knows what's plugged into what, when we lost power to something, or if we need to remote control power something down. Right. We also get that. And that same device also monitors internal temperatures, so we get a sense if the rack is too hot. So that's essentially a summary of the guts of the system. Working back out, right now every classroom has a document camera, so instead of actually having the overhead projector with the glass and the transparencies, faculty members can take that same overhead transparency, put it on a white piece of paper, and display out, so that everyone has a better view of it accordingly. But then you can take an object, a circuit board, a dissection, a piece of rock, and put it on the same camera and get the same quality out, without having to be stuck at, I can only do transparent items. You can do opaque items as well. Wow. Again, continuing back out, now we work to the back. So like I said, there's a pan-tilt zoom camera in the back of the room. Above that is a confidence monitor. So the notion is that the instructors should not be tethered to their podium or having to look back at the presentation screen. They should be able to see what they're presenting. So there's a monitor that mimics what's being shown on the projector so that they can keep their eyes at the camera and also at their students without having to look either way. You got it. So it's a more comfortable feel when they're actually doing their teaching. So that's a confidence monitors in the back of the room, or it's mounted off the side post, but they can see their content accordingly. And then coming up to the top portion, the projector. So the projector is actually new technology. It's a laser phosphor projector. The notion is this: the current projectors you see right now are LCD based. Mm-hmm. LCD is essentially, you have an LCD panel, and then you have a bulb that illuminates the panel and gives you your image. That bulb only lasts about 2,000 to 3,000 hours, which means that you're planning on normal operation every semester or so, changing a bulb. Right. And you also see a significant drop in brightness as the bulb gets older. Okay? So the laser phosphor takes the bulb out and actually uses laser technology as well as phosphor technology to do the same thing, but instead of having a 3,000 hour lamp life, you're looking at 20,000 hour lamp life, so 5 years. And the amount of signal loss or quality loss is 5% over the course of the entire projector's life, which means that you're maintaining bright, high quality levels for about 5 years without having to touch the box, without having to touch the projector. So it's beneficial for the faculty members as well as the operational staff. So it's a huge difference for the overall teaching learning experience. So all in all, that's the core of what was added to the environment. We don't project off whiteboards anymore. Mm-hmm. Okay, by default. By default, the screen will always come down. If the faculty member wants to project on a whiteboard and annotate on it with a marker, they can do that. They just press the button to bring it back up. And then every room has some level of audio support, whether it be wall-mounted speakers or in large rooms with distributed ceiling array. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much the crux of what went down. By spring 2015, we did 24 classrooms. 2015 or 2016? Yeah.
2016.
2016, thank you. Spring 2016, we did 24 classrooms. This summer, we actually did the entire St. John's Hall, up and down. So that's 32 classrooms, normal general-purpose classrooms, and then we're able to do 6 art studios as well that were either had some form of technology and we lightened it up because they didn't need the podium and whatnot, it's a bigger facility, or didn't have any technology and needed for displaying content to the students. So all St. John's Hall was done. Towards the tail end of middle of summer, there was a desire for us to also look into Marillac Hall. Okay. So we actually pushed into Marillac Hall and we did 10 general purpose classrooms. And then 2 of the classrooms were flagged as active learning used by chemistry department, specifically for recitation and for group work. And we worked with their department to basically, each room has 5 pods of 4 students. So now each pod actually has a dedicated display mounted over the whiteboard that they can take their laptop if they so choose and push it up to the display, or the faculty member can push the content to all their content on all displays, or the faculty member could take one pod's display content and display it to all the pods. So multiple ways, and that's something we'll have to work with the department throughout the semester on how to integrate that capability into their pedagogy. So that's pretty much the classroom backbone. In addition to that, when did B3 come online? Last summer? Last fall?
More or less last fall.
Yeah, so fall 2015, actually spring 2015, we had a flood in our faculty development room. This is in St. Augustine, B3. And there was an opportunity to actually redo the floors, paint, better lights, and whatnot. In addition, we made an investment to improve the technology and actually have it as a prototype teaching space. It's the Faculty Development Center or lab. I forget what the last word is.
Center.
Okay. The notion was that in that room, it'd be an opportunity for faculty members to be isolated specifically for faculty development, and then also start to showcase some of the new technology so that faculty members could learn how to use it, engage with it, be able to experiment with pedagogy, active learning pedagogies in that space, and then take that to spaces that we're reconstructing. So in there, that's where we started off with the multiple displays, moving content around accordingly. That's where we also worked with wireless presentation and started to show faculty members that. And then we continued to enhance that space with a 3D document camera, which Mark Gillespie in a pharmacy program experimented with it last spring, where the notion is that rather than have students crowd around something to observe, like a rat dissection, the faculty member can actually record the rat dissection and push it to displays that maintain the 3D space so that you actually see it as an object. So he actually brought in, I think it's graduate students, if I'm not mistaken, 40 graduate students to be precise, and everyone was watching displays as the students were dissecting the rat, and they maintained the 3D space using 3D glasses. So we had a 3D document camera going out to 3D displays, which were seen by 3D glasses. So went over really well, and we're still seeking out other applications for the document camera. But that's an example. Sorry. That's okay. Yeah. That's an example of that prototype space. And we're going to continue working with it. We're doing stuff in 3D printing, so we're working with faculty members on that. We're also looking at, we've just rolled out an entire stack of virtual technologies, virtual environment technologies. So at the core, we have Blackboard, which is our university's learning management system. Allows faculty members to put their content up there, conduct tests, share discussion opportunity between students or between the faculty members and students, multiple items beyond that. Then we also have the video conferencing system, WebEx, which faculty members can initiate for either distance learning, synchronous communications, bringing in guests to speak into the classroom. We also have a polling system, cloud-based polling system called Poll Everywhere. It doesn't require students to have a clicker. They can use their cell phone, text numbers to a poll that faculty member can conduct for student engagement. We also have a Office 365, which is still being completed in its full rollout, but the notion is that it's a file sharing collaboration service that allows for two or more individuals to work on the same document in the cloud, or be able to share files more easily. We also have the what's called Panopto. It's a lecture capture service, but it doesn't just stop at lecture capture. So the notion is that if I'm in the classroom, I want to record myself teaching, and then share that out to the students. Well, you can also record yourself from your laptop and do smaller snippets. So let's say for my class that I taught, I did a session on how to create a pivot table in Excel. Recorded it from my desk and shared it by students, and was used as a module in my teaching. Faculty members could do the exact same thing in their course, so you're doing a flipped design in that sense. But also the students can record themselves and submit that as assignments within Panopto as well. So it's lecture capture, but it's actually more multimedia management is where it's being directed towards. And then we also have Prezi, which is sort of a souped up or a different PowerPoint system.
Okay.
So when you look at PowerPoint is traditionally a linear environment where you go from slide to slide to slide to slide. With Prezi, you start off with a picture, okay? And what happens, you get to see the relationships of concepts, and then with the Prezi system, you actually can zoom in on those concepts and zoom out, so you can actually get a spatial relationship of content as opposed to be stuck to a linear timeline.
Sure, wow.
Okay. And then last but not least is VoiceThread. And what VoiceThread does is allows us to put up a video or videotape ourselves or put up an audio, and then students can respond sort of like a discussion post, but using any form of multimedia. So it could be text, they could do an audio recording at specific points. So like let's say we have debate, presidential debate, they could say at a specific point, I fact checked that thing, and this is the reference for that. And you can have students comment on each other or on the main timeline. So again, you're creating threads from the primary thread, but they're multimedia-based, voice or video. So that's essentially the core toolbox. From there, there's some other auxiliary items, one of them being what's called Doceri. iPads are being used here and there. It's not necessarily university-sponsored yet, but the notion is that if you have an iPad, well, okay, you could use it in our classroom. So the notion is that the application called Doceri, you turn it on, and as long as the iPad's on our wireless infrastructure, it gives you a QR code to scan. You download, of course, the Doceri app prior. You scan the QR code, but now you can remote control the Podium PC from your iPad.
Oh, wow.
So you can walk around the classroom and essentially advance your slides or interact with an Excel spreadsheet, whatever the case may be. But you can also do a screen grab, okay, and actually annotate on that screen grab. So if you try and highlight a point or whatever the case may be, or you can even bring up a whiteboard or a chalkboard and be able to bring up and annotate on top of that. So again, you're running the classroom environments from your
From
iPad.
your phone? Oh,
From your
tablet.
iPad, yeah. From your iPad. So that gives you, again, more freedoms to get away from the podium and interact with the students.
Sure.
So that's Doceri. And then for last year, lynda.com was made available. Human Resources purchased that for all full-time employees and full-time faculty members. And then IT this year purchased it for extended license for part-time faculty members. But lynda.com is essentially an online repository of all things technology, shall I say, and how to do them. So they cover 365 and Blackboard and how to use Prezi, how to do video editing, audio editing, tips on how to present all those, but that's available to the faculty members, both full-time and part-time here at the institution. So I'm trying to think if I missed anything. I mean, I can go mobile.
Sure.
So this past April, we rolled out new St. John's University mobile app. Okay, and the notion was, the president back in last summer, he had a desire to really reach the students through the device that's going to be most prominent in their lives, the mobile device.
Sure.
So IT worked during the fall to identify the platform that we should work on and move forward with implementing that platform. And then we partnered with Marcom, with Student Life, with alumni, as well as with Career Services, and then also reached out to athletics as well, to put together a first pass at what that mobile app should look like. And you can actually go and download it right now off the Google Play store, the iTunes store as well. And again, it's our first foray into aggregating all the most common services to the student through the mobile device. And the goal is to, now that we have a framework and we're building communities, to expand on that community and start to look at, if I was a faculty member, what services would I want weekly from my phone? If I'm a student who's looking to come to St. John's, and whether it be through an orientation or look for information, what do we want to present to them in that view? Or if I'm an alumni and I left, what do I want to see then? So start to create what's called personas for the information that's already out there. It's just being aggregated in a different way. And then also be sensitive to, hey, I'm actually on the Staten Island campus, not the Queens campus. Well, what's going on at the Staten Island campus, and be able to filter the content so that Staten Island has its own view versus Queens versus Manhattan versus global. So really take on the mobile concept or the mobile spirit of you can be anywhere and you have your role in your way you interact with the phone and surface or highlight the content so those pieces are available to you accordingly. Doesn't mean you can't get to any of the other pieces, but that these are the most prominent items that those area experts are saying you probably are going to use and need. So that just rolled out in April and will be better advertised or more globally advertised for the start of the semester. Okay. So what else did I miss?
No, I think you covered most of it.
We have WIPA. I'm not sure if you've seen the WIPA kiosks. Okay. So that was 2014. That I do know for that one. The notion is that when you're a student, you're trying to print. Prior to WIPA, the notion was that you had to come to the lab, log into the workstation, and print. There was some wireless printing, but the support of that was a little more difficult.
Okay.
So we brought in a company called WIPA that essentially cloudified the printing service. So students would go download the WIPA drivers for their laptop or bring in their USB key. From their laptop, they could print to the cloud and then walk to a kiosk, or with their key, again, walk to the kiosk. So the notion is that you've taken the printing and you moved it either into the key or into the cloud, and you interact with the kiosk, and it could be any kiosk. It would be either here, Staten Island, Manhattan. Doesn't matter. It doesn't. You're not tied to a location on printing at that point. You're truly independent.
Wow.
Walk up to the kiosk, put your contact information in, or swipe your card. Select a job, whether it be in the cloud or off the USB key, and release it, and it charges to your printing allowance, and there you go, done. Walk away. And that, when we first rolled out, I think it was 14 kiosks initially. Don't quote me yet, I got to figure out what the number is.
Sure.
But then it's grown out to be about 38 kiosks, and I think it actually grew further to the early 40s. But it's been well received by the students. The numbers are starting to show this massive uptick in WIPA usage, and when we speak with the student government and random students there, that we really appreciate the fact that we are not tied to a location to print anywhere on campus.
Yeah.
Even at the
convenience of it.
Yeah, even over at Barlucci, as well as not Barlucci, Henley and Seton, if I'm not mistaken. So you don't have to be. I think it's Seton. We'll have to look anyway. But the notion is that you don't have to be tied to a location.
To a lab.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And we actually have seen the printing usage drop in the labs in response to that, because now they can truly work from their mobile device or laptop. They can print it from home, drive to campus, because the print job stays in the cloud for about 3 days until it's been released, and then it's done. So, and if the job fails, sometimes that happens where you get jam or something like that. The notion is that you only get charged for what you print, not for the entire job, and then you have to get refunded. And you can then go to the next kiosk and finish the job from there. So it's a really large success for the students and very convenient for them. So it's been well received. Got the
38 printers. We have Bartolucci.
We do have Bartolucci. And I know we have Henley.
And we have Henley.
Right.
And there's one in Hollis, a bunch of the law school. Not like cafeteria, obviously.
Yeah. So it's been well received. And again,
we just added St. Al's.
Right, and he's actually looking at a monitoring system which allows us to react if something's out offline. So we actually working at trying to get into a proactive posture so that the customer's not seeing us work per se. It's there, it's reliable, you can trust it.
Right, and you get a notification if there's a problem, and you can just jump right on it.
You got it.
It's amazing.
So
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask how how has the faculty received all these upgrades, and how have they taken to it?
Yeah, so interesting enough, so for Joe's AAA.
AAA.
Yeah, so
And I sent you the email.
Yeah, so last fall, Joe did a AAA presentation, and we actually got a quote from Gina Florio, as well as from Sandra Abrams about how, well, Gina Florio specifically, how the technology is working for her, and it's transformed her teaching. I don't know the exact quote, we get that for you.
Oh, I love that.
And then for Sandra Abrams, specifically B3, because she was actually trying to work and transform to an active learning format. So she actually shared some of those pieces as well. We have some quotes on 3D printing, so it really, we've seen just positive response overall from how the learning environment is being transformed, the teaching learners being transformed for them. And it gets to the point where, and I know last January, we were getting calls from registrars that says, hey, I'm getting people wanting to get in these rooms, but I can't fit them into these new rooms.
Yeah.
What's the plan for the remainder?
So there was a demand.
Yeah. Now the notion is, so we've actually done, last January we did 3 faculty development sessions, 2 or 3 faculty development sessions on actually how to use the new technology stack in classrooms. This summer we actually are holding 4, and we're probably going to do additional ones in the beginning of September. Again, how do you use the basic classroom functions, turn it on, turn it off, source to different sources, the document camera, but then we're adding in an advanced piece in the sense of, okay, this is how you use wireless presentation. This is how your students can use wireless presentation. This is how you can record yourself, how you can web conference yourself. All these pieces so that they can really take the full advantage of the entire stack, as opposed to just, I'm going to present my content. So it's been well received thus far. We just had one session last Tuesday.
Yeah, 28 faculty.
28 faculty members. We have another one for the advanced tomorrow. We have another basic one following week, and then advanced one after that. So we're trying to up the amount of faculty development so that everyone has the opportunity to at least learn and experience the technologies that have been made available to them.
Right. It sounds very user-friendly, too.
It's one of those pieces where, for the classrooms, yes. For even like the WebExes, the Office, all of it's user-friendly. The problem is that, if you don't, you're standing at the podium, you may not know where to start. Where's the entry points? Okay.
Sure, I guess it could be a little overwhelming.
Right.
Especially
you see
for
all the
your
staring
older,
at you. Right. You don't know where the key is. And the same thing even for some, like for Blackboard and WebEx. Again, once you get oriented as far as the basics, then they usually take off from that point on. And actually what's interesting is, one of the things we try to do with faculty development, and this is where I'll probably do more and more Flannery, is we also try to bring faculty members in to be some of the subject matter experts and teach their colleagues on their experience. Yeah. How did they go about tackling the initial phase of adoption, and then how do you start to get into a mastery stage?
Integrated into
right, exactly. Yeah. And really, the sessions that she conducts, we usually have someone from IT present, not to answer some technical questions, but
sense.
The faculty members have been really attracted to that type of presentation style because it's one of their own.
It's their peers.
Right. It's like, wow, this is how you did it.
Right.
What did you think about that? What about this? Have you tried that?
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting model. Last fall, we actually did a Teaching with Technology Day, October 24th, something like that. The notion was, and this is more Flannery's doing, the notion is that we have a lot of faculty members that are really pushing the technology fringes, but no one knows. So it was their opportunity to shine. So it was a poster session, digital poster session style, where every faculty member had a table that applied. And then they would basically show off what they did, whether it be, 3D scanning, applying Office Mix into their classes, looking at Adobe Creative Suites, or iPads. Yeah, and then what faculty members came in and they would just walk from each station to station and they would connect up, and it gave the faculty members that did the work a chance to shine, and those that were seeking colleagues that they could connect to, like, wow, you did this. Can we talk afterwards and see how we can make those connections? So it really benefited both worlds, and we're doing that again this year. I want to say it's October. I have to look at the dates. Maybe it's 22nd. So definitely the Monday in October.
Right.
But really successful. Did a great job. Last year we had keynotes from Microsoft representatives to talk about Office 365. This year we're looking at a keynote around blended learning. So we're still pinning that person down. But yeah, really well received.
That's great. Roger, was there something you wanted to add before? Or
No.
you started to say something? No?
If there was, I forgot.
Well, and this sounds like a little bit of a leading question, but it really sounds like the president and the high-level administration really are fully support this notion of advancing technology and giving the students sort of the state of the art.
Yeah, I mean, that's just where, I would also encourage you to sit down potentially with Joe and get his perspective as well, but it's one of those pieces where, strategy was placed, Joe mobilized, we worked with faculty members as best we could, closely, and delivered solutions.
Right.
And the notion is, again, refine them, work, look at what other emerging techs are out there that we can look to apply, partner on specific academic applications that might need to be surfaced up, and just really advance the ball forward.
Yeah.
But again, this is where I would encourage to chat with Joe, his perspective, his strategy, his vision. But yeah, it's definitely there.
And I would imagine too that given the rapid evolution of technology, you're almost sort of in a constant state of upgrading and evolving.
Right.
Right. That's got to be to stay ahead of the curve or with the curve, so to speak.
Right. No, and that's one of the biggest challenges is that, so I think for the most part, for the learning environment, we have a good core to work from. But, you have, take a look, what are the emerging techs right now? So 3D printing's out there, wearable techs, Internet of Things, virtual reality, augmented reality. These pieces are coming in, in more advanced mobile infrastructure. These pieces are coming in to permeate into the technical scope. Where do you fit them? Or do they have a place here at the institution? And this is where, again, close partnership with faculty members, staying abreast of those technologies, and making those necessary investments to do the discovery process is what's critical.
Yeah.
So,
where the rubber meets the road, like for instance, connecting other devices to the projection screen, we've actually got 4 or 5 different approaches in the same room you can attach. We have solutions that go through wireless that work with Apple devices. We have ones that work better with laptops. And in terms of physical connectivity, we're actually in this unfortunate time where you actually need multiple. We need technically HDMI and VGA, and we have all of those connections. But it's almost impossible to future-proof it, but we've tried to do as much as we can, so that we can get a longer
shelf life. So
use of the technology.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense.
We've actually put, I don't think you mentioned it, but we've actually put network switches in each podium because we understand that everything in the classroom is networked.
Right.
So, and that we need to do that in order to monitor and manage the equipment.
It's incredible.
So we could show you Marillac, but it doesn't. One of the differences in Marillac at the time, because we got a late start, is that the podiums have it still has the older podiums. St. John Hall, D'Angelo and Sullivan have the newer podiums. So we walk over there. But we should. But there's a unique room here where we have the active learning, and that's actually a spin-off of the Faculty Development Center.
Great. That's terrific. Thank you.
Yeah, they actually did change the first one when you look at it. Okay. I'll be here for another hour. All right.
Yeah, I think we're still in pieces because we're seeing the metamorphosis.
Yes.
So what happened was this room originally was just tablet armchairs initially, and then chemistry department was able to isolate one of the rooms, and pretty much all they do is problem work. Okay, and they use the whiteboards along with that. Faculty member might put up the problem up on the screen, and their students work, and then they would write their content up on the board. So in working with chemistry department, it's like, well, what if they were able to also do the work from an iPad? Right. You know, maybe either stream the content from a piece of paper up onto the screen, or B, actually interface with a problem digitally. So every pod has their own dedicated display, and then the faculty member actually has their own channel, so that the pods themselves, when they're activated, okay, will actually have their own content, but then the faculty member can take over all displays and push their content.
Right.
Or grab that display and push it to everyone's content, so that you don't have to like wheel around and stare at
Sure,
the content.
it's
You actually
everywhere,
have
yeah.
good sight lines too, yes. So that's something that we took from B3. We can actually show you B3, the notion of active learning. You have your own dedicated technologies and whatnot. Interesting enough, one of the things that we're experimenting for the first time is the notion that you can actually bring these displays closer.
Wow.
So they're not further out. Now, ideally, we've moved this just a tad bit further down and then also get a lower mount, because then this can go from being a passive display to an interactive display. But for now, the notion is let's test things out and see if there's a place for them in the institution. So again, we have to stay ahead of the curve.
Sure.
And then one of the things that the president actually saw, while I think it was China he was at, is sliding whiteboards where the interactive display is hidden behind the whiteboard. Okay, and then when you want to use the display, you push the whiteboard to the side and interact with the display, or vice versa. So we're looking at that, trying to figure out where we can place that in the institution as well. So again, looking at different angles
Sure.
for the learning environment. So.
That's
But yeah,
amazing.
there's this room and the room next door that have the exact same feature set.
Wow.
Yep. So again, you're seeing in the midst of the construction process.
Right.
They're still probably working on it. So this is essentially, there's 4 types of this type of podium. The old wooden podium.
Right.
It works or worked at some point, but what wound up happening is that, you look at all the equipment that's in there, okay, you put your hand in there, you can start feeling the heat. Right. Even with digital technology,
Oh, I bet,
heat builds
yeah.
up.
Yeah, feel that. Wow.
So when we show you the podium, you'll see that it's got better
projectors on it.
So there's no warm up. I mean,
I
you probably were in some of the rooms where, okay, I wait for the LCD.
Absolutely,
Up,
yeah.
Boom. There you go. It's already going. And actually, you got to switch to mode or eco mode because it should be even brighter.
And we threw in some additional things where you could turn on and off the display that quickly.
So there's a contents monitor.
Oh.
So, for instance, if you're trying to
Okay.
set up a test, you can actually mute the projector image so that the students don't see you setting up for a test, but you can work on it.
Right.
You could also do that with the contents monitor. You can mute that down. And if you want to write on the whiteboard,
Sure.
you can.
Incredible.
So, like I said, everyone has speakers, and it should be.
And there's a webcam.
Yes.
And we can't.
Yeah, this unfortunately the podium doesn't have enough room. The document camera, that's the other piece. But you'll see when you go to one of the other rooms, there's a document camera so that they can engage.
Wow.
So,
Amazing.
yep. And there's a touch monitor.
I did my master's about 10 years ago, and, at that time, basically, the progression was like PowerPoint.
Yeah.
That was like amazing,
Yeah, no, it's definitely.
It's come a long way.
Coming, Raj?
Yeah, I'll be right there.
Okay. last spring, but unfortunately we didn't get the opportunity to really sit down and serve with them.
Uh-huh.
But one of the pieces that we're going to try to do this fall is really do a true assessment where, we get survey results both from the faculty and students, how the technology help you.
Right.
Were you in a room either previous years or even right now, because right now Marillac is one of the last companies that has been refurbished.
Mm-hmm.
And how did that experience compare the two experiences between an older style and a newer style?
Sure.
Again, anecdotally, they like the brightness of the image, they like the quality of the sound.
Mm-hmm.
The faculty members, like I said, love the speed of the system, reliability.
Oh, I bet.
So, again, using a conference monitor.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, Eric? Hey. Well, oh, he's taking me in there.
Okay.
So,
Oh, would you look
here's
at
the
this?
podium. Yep. So, cleaner, liner. Okay, this is sealed so that they can't get to it. They can only focus in on the
What they need?
computer. Yep.
Yeah.
Get it from up here. Hey, Rob. And then you have the document camera. And then you can actually hear them starting to phone coming through the system.
Wow.
So, a much cleaner surface. I mean, look how much real estate they have compared to the one you just saw.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that was more of a traditional podium. This is-
Right. So, much, air vents along the sides, holes. Easier to service for our purposes.
Right.
The newer, and we actually have to come back and do it, the newer monitor, so this one allows you to go side to side. The newer ones allows you to tilt forward, so that if you're a little bit of a shorter person, you're not having to worry about that. So,
You actually put it locked in place.
yeah. So, anyhow, this is a newer podium.
And you cover the wireless mic?
Yeah. Yep.
So again, these are the connections I mentioned. So we've got HDMI, this is audio, VGA, and then Ethernet. jack.
yeah.
And then even USB.
And
for the
USB
computer.
for the
Now, I imagine that, it could be a little bit overwhelming, but you guys do all the training sessions.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you're pretty much, if you think about it, you're going to be focusing on one specific item at a time.
Right.
And then from there, you can go in and go from, document camera. You can actually then specifically focus in on, do I want to do something with wireless? Do I want to do something with the air media? Do I want to do something with the podium PC? I was wondering, I'm like, come on, wake up.
Oh man, the screen's gonna.
Yeah, that's when someone writes on it.
Okay, so now you're using the camera.
Yep. So I'm using document camera. So again, this is something that's opaque.
Yeah.
So, again, if you're trying to teach something that's either circuit board based or whatever, the notion is that you still can maintain it. And again, I'm seeing here, or I go to the conference monitor, that's what the students actually see.
Right.
So,
Was that boards always there like that?
no, they actually switched out the boards. They actually switched it to these sliding light bulbs. So this is brand spanking now. In fact, this is essentially the concept is that you take out the back plane and you put the display back.
Right.
But we have to just work on that because it has to be recessed.
Mm-hmm.
So. Let's see if Apple TV wakes up. And this is, we walked into deck 310 or 210.
210 or 209 or 210.
I knew it was gonna end because I didn't have I'm gonna get enough stuff.
Yeah, it's all right.
Oh, it must be the old program. It actually has the room number.
So now I'm controlling the environment
From your phone.
Yep.
It's like a miracle. It's like magic.
So, again, it's opportunities for the faculty member. And actually, I could bring up the mobile app.
Oh, this is the app.
Yeah.
I have to download this.
So again, you have for students academic resources, all the common things in classes, apps that they may need, references, and so on and so forth. Links to MySheet and Blackboard app, their financials, so money, balance, terms, things of that nature. The academic calendar, drill down to what that looks like. Pretty much any of the resources that we thought that we needed. You can call public safety, you can dial that immediately. You know, you can go look for service opportunities through the mission site, career services, athletics, bring up the athletics page. So the notion is you have everything at your fingertips, one click away. So
It's really amazing. And obviously you've moved away from sort of the traditional desks.
Well, what's interesting is this room was always deemed as an active learning space because they had older furniture, but the notion is that there is really no good way to do that. So now with some of the wireless presentation capabilities, both from the faculty and students, they could break out in groups and then project the content onto the screen.
Right.
So it's something that now the technology can complement the different direction of teaching. So
Right.
let's take you B3.
Sure.
The other, one other thing is that we actually have video conference classes between here and Staten Island.
Oh,
I don't know if you're aware of that. We
No.
actually have souped up audiovisual equipment in the rooms. And we've actually, for the last 4 to 6 semesters, we've actually had classes.
really? So you're saying that Queens and Staten Island students are taking the same class?
Yes.
Through video
At the
conference?
same time.
Wow.
One professor, students in both places.
That's terrific.
Even out to Rome, I'm not clicking.
I mean, the advantages are that we can offer, the university can offer a course that may not have enough enrollment in one or the other, and it helps Staten Island.
Absolutely. And the kids there can take advantage of the resources of Queens.
Now, it's just, I mean, admittedly, it's just a handful of classes, but it's a different style of teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We're taking a shortcut, that's all.
Okay.
I don't want to
So there's a video about the Sony equipment, both projectors. We're still going through reviews. Once that gets cleared, we can share it with you.
Okay. Great. It's going straight through?
Yep.
Be right in.
Okay.
So this is B3. So this is the room that was the faculty development, or is the faculty development environment. The concept is the room actually is multifunctional. So actually in this particular case, it's set up for somewhat of a discussion style where you have the primary table there. They were probably using it for WebEx earlier. But that each pod or each group can actually have their own display, similar to what you saw in 137A. The other element is this room can take on 3 functions. So there's a traditional mode where you can set up as rows accordingly, and then a teaching station up front. And then they would actually have, as soon as the system warms up, let's see, we're going on that. Let's grab that one too. So traditional format where similar to what you see in the classroom, you have the projector on the screen, and then you have surrounding displays just to help for any distance issues and whatnot. Okay, that's traditional mode. Okay. From here, instead of traditional mode, like let's say you want to actually just have a big discussion. Okay, you align the tables more along the lines of a square, some sort of rectangle in the center, and then the content is evenly distributed. One source content all around the perimeter. Okay, so that if I'm sitting over here, I can see that display. If I'm sitting over here, I can see that display, or vice versa for that once they warm up. Okay, and then like I said, the last function is team-based, where that team can have their own display, that team can have their own display, and then they can pull that content and push it out to the other sides. Okay. Beyond that base functionality, the 3D document camera's up there. That has allowed you to, actually let's turn it on. Wakey. So, like the document camera you saw over in the, hey Roger, bring her a skull. Oh. And then the glasses.
The glasses might be.
Oh, glasses up here. Yeah, I got glasses. Just kidding. You got a skull? Right? That's pretty good. This is a 3D printed frog.
Oh my gosh. Jesus.
So if you put that right in the center. So I can zoom in on this. Looks pretty good.
Right.
You can point to different things and whatnot. But you go over to 3D.
Glasses.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's the version is on.
Yeah. Oh, that's just amazing.
So now you can actually get your depth relationships and show things underneath that you couldn't do beforehand.
Yeah.
So imagine conducting a dissection and still be able to relate to things in the 3D space.
Sure.
So that's something that we were experimenting with the pharmacy program when you're doing dissection. But you can even see, now we're looking into the cavity of the actual print job. So,
yeah, in addition to that, and if you zoom in, you can actually see more details.
I think that's as far as I can with this one.
The 3D.
Let's see what the .2D does. Yeah, this is the ceiling one. This is not the table one. The table one. So we have a version of the table document camera that can actually get down, so you can actually see like the
threads,
the dots and the S.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, still, you get really good quality. But you can, as an instructor, whether it be in 2D or 3D, you now can go through and walk around and be able to reference things accordingly. I think that the version's got thrown off. But the notion is you can now go through and reference things either as screen or under the document camera.
Right.
So that's a document camera. I don't think there's any other whiz bangs about this space beyond the teaching that we've already covered. So.
But again, from the team-based, it's very, very powerful, and that's what Sandra Abrams mentioned is doing, where she had group exercises. Somebody had a learning event, did something, and so she focused everybody on that particular, on their display, and broadcasted around the room.
Right.
So everybody could see what was going on.
So I brought up 5 different air medias. So again, everyone has their own wireless presentation environment. Okay, and then if I can get the airplane mix up a bit. If it doesn't, then I'll switch to something else. Hey, Roger, you see the airplanes? Airphone?
I don't have my,
Okay. If not, I'll just grab a laptop.
I don't have my iPad.
If I'm showing a piece of content over here, nothing I'm seeing here. All right, this is from her. I like that. That's better. Okay. So if I'm over here teaching, and I want everyone to see the ostrich, as a faculty member, I can go and easily do that. I can say, hey, grab station 6 and push it out to all stations. Okay. Okay, and then if I want to return it back, okay, I can return it back to the way it was. Okay, so again, the notion is that very quickly the faculty member can go back and forth. Would you grab this air media? Yeah. So promotes group work and whatnot. Now, interesting enough, with the Crestron device, and just you have to trust me on this one rather than pull it out because it's probably take a little longer to demo. With the Crestron, this air media. Not only do you have the one wireless, but you can actually split the signal or split the screen so that you can have 4 different pieces of content up on a single screen wirelessly. So if a faculty member is doing compare and contrast between 4 different piece students or 2 different students, that content will be displayed wirelessly. And that content can be pushed out to the side displays too, all displays. So again, different ways to tackle sharing and bring the students' content to the class. If you think about it, current or traditional teaching, really it's about what the faculty member has. And then if the students want to do a presentation, then they have to go up, have to set up everything on the podium and all that. Now, as long as they can see the IP address and punch in the code, they're good to go. So that's B3. And then I guess we'll show you One Button Studio real quick.
Okay.
Although I don't know if let me see if I have a USB stick. Get one in later.
Not
Okay.
yet, anyway.
So let's see if this puppy works because I've been offline just for a little bit. Wiki. Yeah, waking up. All right. The concept of this space is actually Penn State came up with it. Was so often the notion is the faculty member wants to record themselves. Okay. So they usually have to go to like the television studio. Television studio says, okay, well, we got our normal job. Can we do something else? So then like, okay, they built the studio, but then you still had to be, operated by someone.
Sure.
Penn State came up with the concept, well, if we could package up in a little computer, some pieces of equipment, some lights, some automated lighting solutions, and then whatever screens you want. This is a green screen. We also have a reflective screen. Well, I can actually record myself with the push of a button. So it tells me in 5 seconds, and it's actually delayed by 1 second. So I can start talking, I can do my presentation, do whatever I want. Okay, trigonometry, Pythagoras theorem, a squared plus b squared plus c squared, and then I'm done. Stop. It writes it to the device, and now I have a movie of myself. Accordingly, I pull the device, let it shut down, good to go. One button. Again, the concept is to make it as easy as possible for the instructor to get critical content that they need in a multimedia fashion out. Now, things that we've been experimenting with, so notice with the green screen, there's going to be some post-editing, but most of your movie applications can do keying and put, either you in, I don't know, out in Egypt or in New York City, Times Square, doesn't matter. The reflective screen actually allows us to essentially move it to either black or green screen or whatever the case may be. That behind you right there, and we're going to finish it, is what's called a light board. It's missing the lights, but the notion is I would roll that in front of me, and I can then use these markers to then annotate on that. Okay, I'd have a black screen behind me. That's the black is behind there. If I can actually annotate and just write normally, then actually tell the cameras to flip itself, and then it looks like I'm actually interacting with the content I'm writing, so the students can say, oh wow, I'm seeing him actually write the problem out for me, and I'm talking with the students as I'm interfacing with it. So that's something that we'll hopefully be experimenting more this semester. But the notion is again, make this as easy as possible to the faculty members. And then next door, once we're clean out from storage, we have 2 video editing suites for them to do work in.
Right.
To take their content to do either video or audio editing in that space. So again, another thing to support the teaching and learning environment.
Yeah.
I think I've exhausted everything I could think of, but I'm sure there may be some things I'm missing.
So there's probably like 2 or 3 or more stories here.
It's a lot. I mean, I think the plan was to just do one, but I can certainly, maybe we could break this up. I mean, there's so much information here to digest. I mean, it would be terrific if we could do more than one. That's not my decision to make. If you want to interact with Charles or Karen, go straight to the top. Because traditionally our stories are anywhere from 7 to 10 paragraphs. So I mean that would kind of scratch the surface of what we're talking about. Right. But I mean, if we could make it into, again, not my decision, but if we could make it sort of a series of pieces, I think that would be terrific.
Well, and I know that's something Joe's been desiring, is try to get, with the amount of effort that's gone behind technology integration and learning environment, somehow capturing that and conveying that, not just for the community, but also as advertisers. Hey,
absolutely,
we still have your stuff, great stuff. Come see us.
Yeah.
So it covers, and then even the incoming students. I mean, when we've taken, actually, it's funny. I actually have students here for we were teaching them 3D printing. We brought them in, and they're looking around, it's like, what is this space? And so I go through the spiel I just did. Yeah. And their minds melt. They're like, holy cow, this is amazing. Yeah. How do we not know this place exists?
Exactly.
Or even some of the classroom technologies, or the 1x2, because this is available to students as well. It has to be done through class.
Right.
But we've had faculty members and students do their presentations down here and record themselves. It's great advertising. It's good for the university. So that's what Joe's seeking, is trying to highlight all these wonderful.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, all this exists, and it should be taken advantage of. So I would be for it. Unfortunately, it's above my pay grade.
Yeah, no.
But yeah,
I'm sorry, but I'm sure you'll write a great story and we'll want more.
Yeah, but you talk to Karen, and we'll see if it what filters down to me. But I mean, I can certainly write a piece that is an overview of everything we've talked about. But as you mentioned, Eric, you wanted to loop in some of the faculty and get some quotes from them,
Right.
which makes perfect sense because they're the ones using it, and that's more promotion.
Right, and it promotes the faculty, it promotes the department that the faculty is working in, as well as the really exciting things that are happening at St.
Sure,
John's.
and the fact that the president is, spearheaded these initiatives and they're coming to fruition.
Right. Again, from the top, besides the president, it is one of improving the teaching and learning environment is one of our strategic goals.
Absolutely, yeah, and
And a lot of the actions are around improving the classroom environment and the whole learning in play.
Yeah, and I'll highlight that. And of course, you guys will get to see anything I write, before it goes anywhere. Definitely show you. But unless there's anything you guys want to add, I think we've.
No, I think we covered quite.
This has been fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I had no idea the extent to which.
Yeah, we've been busy.
Yeah.
Definitely been busy.
Yeah.